trying to break new ground here with this Predator film. We have the Predator, who's actually the hero this time. Usually he's the monster, he's the bad guy, and we're rooting for him. Plus we have him teaming up with others, trying to battle the unkillable creature on the planet Genna. Dan Trachtenberg? He's like, we try to overcome him, and it works out okay. No, Dan Trachtenberg has amazing vision for these films. What I love the most about him is that he brings something entirely fresh and original to the Predator franchise. And what I really enjoy in particular is for people that have seen Prey and enjoyed Prey and how that was a bold take on the Predator, the character, and the new installment. This one, he's actually doing something completely different. And I love being here to support him with that vision. Predator Kill of Killers, our animated movie, came out a few months ago, and that was something completely different as well. And now we're trying to see if we can push the boundaries even further. Expanding the mythology of the franchise is a tricky thing because you have different levels of it. You have the movies that have been made all by different filmmakers. You have the comics, which of course expand the universe beyond everything. And then you have various types of fan fiction and other kinds of sources for mythology. So we try to be inspired by all of it and try to encapsulate either the spirit of it or literally what's come before to sort of push us as far in the future as we've ever seen before, and capture a story that's like entirely new and gives us a little taste more of like what the Predator or Yautja culture is without sort of making the movie about that. We still want to follow our hero on a journey, but we like to learn a little bit, and we do learn a little bit here about the Yautja culture as well as tying in a little bit of the Weyland-Yutani Alien franchise. The thing I'm the most excited about in the film, to be honest, is just seeing this character that many people have sort of been captivated by and has sort of like, existed in our culture, actually like work as the hero and fight like creatures that are like way more gigantic and ferocious than he is. But also, I feel like Elle Fanning is just like shines so bright in the film. Both characters that she plays. I think what I'm most excited about is to see the pairing of the two of them, because as unexpected as it is to have Predator be a hero, it's even more unexpected to have a sort of, pairing with an Elle Fanning type character who plays the synth and is like absolutely electric on screen.
Dan came up with an idea that was so unique. It expounds the boundaries because it just suggests that creativity can just go crazy with it. From my perspective behind the scenes, what he brings is an empathy and an understanding and an amazing appreciation for what everybody around him does. It's so unique to work with a director who's so collaborative, and it just makes for such a special experience. I think that it's going to be very unique, and I'm just really hoping it's embraced and loved.
It's been about 3 years in the making, and I am so ready for people to finally see the special stuff that we've been cooking up. There's a lot in this movie that shares the DNA of the original, but there is so much more. It is a totally different genre. It is big action and adventure, and kind of a buddy comedy in the midst, and more action than any entry in the franchise, and I've done quite a few of them, but this is mostly one giant action scene. Dec and Thia are the central force of the movie, and Dec is kind of the strong, silent type. He's if it were a Western, it'd be Clint Eastwood, and Thia cannot stop talking and is a robot that's been severed in half, and yet still sees the positivity and cannot be stopped no matter what crazy things are thrown at them. Dimitrius brought something to this franchise that has never happened before. He brought an emotionality to it. He brought soul to the monster, and a physicality that we've never had. We've never really been able to do the kind of stunt work in the suit, the physicality, because of the nature of the height and the practical head and mask features that we were free of this time. It allowed him to really kick ass. Elle is as delightful as you would imagine. Really tremendous performer that had a physicality that I was not expecting. I sensed that she would be charming and funny in the role, but there were a lot of physical demands, and from action sequence standpoint, but also even just things because of the nature of her being this very specific synthetic, severed in half, that you think we would need special effects to accomplish or visual effects to accomplish. Oftentimes she could just hold her body in a certain way to make us believe in the movie magic. It was pretty extensive designing Genna. We actually started doing some concept art for the movie before we even wrote the script. And there was an initial piece of concept art that it was like spiky snow, and that actually informed one of the main features of the planet, which is the razor grass. But that was a huge part of the movie, was designing a planet that would be as deadly as the creatures were. And so everything here is trying to kill Deck, from the blades of grass to the trees to all the creatures that inhabit it. Audiences can expect a real full course meal filled with stress and anxiety and action and laughs and a little bit of heart too. I really hope that people are exhausted walking out of the movie.
It is unreal. The crowd outside is pretty crazy. London's been treating me very well. It's my first time here. Man, I'm excited. I just can't wait for everyone to watch. He is a different kind of predator. He's a bit undersized, kind of considered the runt of the litter, but I think what Dan's done really well with this film is, taking a story that hasn't really been told, predator in a protagonist role as well, and making people root for the predator. That's something that really doesn't happen. The physical challenges, let me tell you, it was physically tough, just being in a prosthetic suit the whole time. You're constantly sweating, had to wear like contacts, it blurred my vision, restricted my movement being in it, but I think it all just added a bit more authenticity to the character. That's something that I think the Predator franchise prides itself on, is that they use practical effects, all these 20 years. It's a real person in the suit, it's, I think it just adds that extra element of, realism, and that audiences and fans really enjoy. It's an unlikely relationship, I'll be honest. I think it's one of the first times you see a predator team up with anything, really. Their whole mantra is which means Yao hunt alone. There's a little bit of, he uses her as a tool, essentially, to get through this death planet called Genna. And over the course of the film, you see how their relationship kind of changes, the dynamic. Because I don't want to say too much, but it's an unlikely ally. Oh, she's amazing. She's so down to earth, so humble, very kind, and she just knows what she's doing. Like, she's such a good energy to have on the set. She comes to work every day, keen to get amongst it, and she had some really hard days on set as well. She had to wear a harness. She did it with a smile, did it so gracefully, and she's awesome. Audiences can expect some drama, some action. They can expect, everything. This film has so much to offer and unpack, and I think audiences, honestly, they're just gonna go in and I think be very surprised with what we've come up with. It's a very different Predator movie, very different premise, so I think they will really enjoy it.
I am so excited. I've seen a rough cut of the film, but I haven't seen it in all of its glory, so I'm going to watch tonight for the first time, and Dan said the sound is really good in this theater. He's very excited, so I am too. Oh my gosh, it's so special, it's I think, also what Dan has done with this franchise is so fresh and new, and I was such a fan of Prey, and so I'm really happy to be a part of it, and obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger and I have pins from from other previous Predator films on my leather jacket tonight. But it's really special, especially with Badlands, because it's a new take on it. You know, the Predator is the protagonist, and you really get to hear the history and the lore of him, and he becomes a character that you're actually rooting for, which has never happened in this franchise before. So I'm happy to be a part of that. Well, I have two parts. I have dual roles, but the one you see mostly on the poster, that's Thia, and she is a Weyland-Yutani synth from the Alien universe, and she is quite fun. This is set in the future, the furthest future we've seen in the alien world. So she's the most kind of advanced synth that we've seen so far, which means she has very high emotions. They're the most kind of human-like so far that we've seen. So she has a very spunky personality and a lot of emotions and a lot of personality. And then I play another part, Tessa, who's quite different. So I got to do the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap, acting with myself, which is a bucket list for me, for sure. There were a lot, probably more than I've ever had before on a film set. There was a lot of training. I mean, what's so amazing about these films is that it's all done practically, pretty much. I mean, of course, there's visual effects, but like when I'm the backpack and I'm with Dimitrius back to back, we are physically hooked up with wires and we're flying through the air together, and we are, there's a wheelbarrow that he pushes me up a hill, and we were really in New Zealand on these amazing sets, so things were tangible, but we did have to do training for that. A lot of rigs and action sequences, but I loved that challenge.